Shalom. All praises to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem Akakwadash. Double honors to the elder apostles, the bishops, and the elders of GMS who rules well. Peace and salutations to the elect. My name is Aina. The title of the video is Russia is helping Iran in the war against US. All right, so it was kind of like, which we knew, we knew Russia would help Iran because it's in the scriptures, but the world was kind of asking themselves, like, is Russia helping Iran? And is China helping Iran and things like that? And basically, the envoy or a Russian representative, basically talked to some U.S. representatives and said that they'll stop sharing the intelligence if you stop sharing intelligence with Ukraine about us. That's why some people say, World War III actually started when Russia went into Ukraine, because the same thing that's happening when Russia went into Ukraine is happening now. Russia went into Ukraine. Uh, EU and US sent Ukraine, you know, money and weapons and things like that. And while that was happening, you had China, North Korea, and Iran sending Russia different things, even the drones. Iran sent drones to Russia. That's how Russia got, so good at these drones, and Russia sent them back now with this war, right? So, if really, it started in 2014, when Russia went to Ukraine. The same thing is happening now. The only thing that's different, uh, I say, is Israel is playing a bigger part because we know that Israel is dragging out America to this war, right? And this is the big war, World War III. So, you know, tomato, tomato. But we're in World War III regardless, all right? And Russia is helping Iran, which is confirmed now. This was posted 3 hours ago, Midas Touch.
Donald Trump is panicking as Vladimir Putin just put him on blast and made a public ultimatum trying to call Donald Trump and Trump's regime out. Putin said that, yes, he is giving intelligence to Iran, but he said that he would stop giving intelligence to Iran to help Iran target American soldiers, kill Americans, and harm American interests so long as the United States cuts off support to Ukraine, Politico reports. Now it's being reported that the U.S. At a military level is rejecting this proposal, although Donald Trump has not commented. But this has left many across the world incredibly nervous that this is a deal that Donald Trump is contemplating. Moscow proposed a quid pro quo, and Donald Trump loves quid pro quos to the U.S., although Donald Trump never makes good on his side of the quid pro quo, unless it's Vladimir Putin, under which the Kremlin would stop sharing intelligence information with Iran, such as the precise coordinates of U.S. military assets in the Middle East, if Washington ceased supplying Ukraine with intelligence about Russia. Two people familiar with the U.S.-Russia negotiations said that such a proposal was made by Russian envoy Kirill Dmitriev to Donald Trump's envoy Steve Witkoff and his other envoy Jared Kushner during their meeting at the end of last week. It's being reported that the existence of this proposal has sparked major concern among European diplomats who worry Moscow is trying to drive a wedge between Europe and the United States at a critical moment for transatlantic relations, to which Donald Trump posted this morning the following. Again, while this war is raging out of control in the Middle East, Trump attacked NATO. Right. So Putin makes this offer to Trump. Trump's response is to say the following: without the U.S., NATO is a paper tiger. They didn't want to join the fight to stop a nuclear-powered Iran. Now the fight is militarily won with very little danger for them. They complain about the high oil prices they are forced to pay, but don't want to help open the Strait of Hormuz, a simple military maneuver that is the single reason for the high oil prices. So easy for them to do with so little risk. Cowards. And we will remember Donald J. Trump calling.
Right. So you can see the division there, right, amongst the allies, and that's going to play a part too, with them deciding to burn her with fire, right, and her being the whore, which is America. Right. This is Matthew 12, And 25, it says, and Yahweh Shai knew their thoughts and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. And if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How shall then his kingdom stand? Right? These Edomites are fighting, over, everything in these last days, right? And they're divided about how they want to do things, how they want to go about things. EU is trying to save Ukraine for whatever reason, and US is not really, feeling that anymore, right? And now they have bigger problems, and now they're divided about the war with Iran, which this is a war that Israel wanted, right? The 1948ers dragged America into this war, and basically dragged EU into it, but EU is declining to help. Right? They don't want to be a part of this war. This is Revelation 17, and get to the point. 16, the 10 horns represent the NATO and the EU, right? The vassal states of America that America set up to fight against the USSR, right? But now in these last days, they're divided against themselves. And as the world is in turmoil, right? And there's a lot going on, different sides are being picked. And Russia right now is the winner to help these different nations. And, pursuant to Isaiah 19, the Most High Yahweh Bashar Shah has confounded the counsel of these devils and put a cruel Lord into the seat, right? And he doesn't care about any of his allies, and therefore his allies, that being the NATO, EU, are going to burn her, join forces with Russia. Revelation 17 and 16, it says, in the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, thee shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate naked, and shall eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. For Yahweh Bashar Yahweh have put it in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of Yahweh Bashar Yahweh shall be fulfilled. And the woman which thou sawest is the great city, which is America, which reigneth over the kings of the earth. And America does reign over the kings of the earth. Dollar is king, right? And that's America's dollar. And America, puts forth, its different type of laws, right, and puts sanctions on people and things like that. So that is America, right? But now in these last days, because of how they're using their power that they have gained, the nations are mad, right? And I was going to get the scripture a little later, but I'll grab it right here. Jeremiah 51 and 7 says, Babylon had been a golden cup in the Lord's hand, right? So this was the tool that the Most High used, right? He set up Babylon to be this great city, this great nation to run and rule the world for his purpose. Babylon had been the golden cup in the Lord's hand, the Lord being Yahweh Bashar Shah, that made all the earth drunken. So the world followed after Babylon, right? The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad, right? Because this same devil, Babylon, the Edomites, right? They're ruling in a way that the people don't agree with, right? They're upset about the policies and the laws and things that this devil has set up, right? And he's reneging on all of it, right? He doesn't care about all the policies and rules that he set up, right? These were guidelines that they were following that he's now, not following. He really never followed them. All right. The scriptures say, by peace shall he destroy many. And a lot of people are still talking about what you're doing is against the law, so that they're hesitant in doing certain things because the laws, like they're saying things that they're doing right now is like war crimes, but America and Israel doesn't care, right? So they're doing things that other people wouldn't do because it's a war crime, like killing children and infrastructure and all of that. Daniel 8 and 25, it says, and through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. Right? And we use the scripture for America, right? In this time, Babylon the Great, right? The revived Roman Empire. Through his policy, he has caused craft to prosper, right? He set up different things, and even he can even break it down systematically because how it's set up so well, right? The oil trades, the system, the routes, all of that. He controls all of it. All right. And so they're divided and upset, right, by how this cruel Lord is ruling in these last days.
NATO and our European allies. Simple military maneuver that is the single reason for the high oil prices. So easy for them to do with so little risk. Cowards. And we will remember Donald J. Trump calling NATO and our European allies coward. And right now, the markets are reacting horribly to Donald Trump's abhorrent and unlawful war against Iran. Investors are now betting that the overall U.S. inflation in the next 12 months will surge above 5%. We're now talking about likely interest rate hikes versus lowering interest rates as a result of this disastrous war and the inflation that it's going to cause. I don't think it will be surprising if the price per barrel of oil hits $200. Saudi Arabia is predicting it will be at least $180 per barrel. And Donald Trump continues to panic, as I reported earlier today. Donald Trump is sending more troops for a possible ground, to use Donald Trump's words, excursion, but other people would.
Yeah, all prophecy is speaking in these last days because we're at the end. Esau is the end of the road, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followed. This thing is moving, with rapid speed, and ultimately, this is gonna, Lord willing, this issues forth the MOTB, right? With all this chaos, crises, turmoil, and all of this, they have opportunities, to push their FF events and bring about their new world order, right? Which will bring in the micro C here. Joel 2:20 says, "But I will remove far off from you the northern army, and will drive him into a land barren and desolate," right? This is the northern army is America. The land barren and desolate is the so-called Middle East, where they're headed right now. Big numbers, because they already sent a number of troops. They're sending more troops. You had Benjamin Netanyahu coming on talking about you can't do everything from air. You need to do something on the ground, and now more troops are being sent. This is America is still being dragged into the war because Donald Trump just said it's like they keep setting him up for the kill. This man makes an interview. And they ask him a question, because they run everything. Are you going to send troops to the ground? And Donald Trump is like, no. And then BB come about and say, yeah, no, we're sending troops immediately. Says, but I will remove far off from you the northern army and will drive him into a land barren and desolate, with his face toward the east sea and his hinder part towards the utmost sea. And his thing shall come up, and his ill savor shall come up, because he hath done great things. Right, the Persian Gulf. Mediterranean Sea, right there, but the Levant region, right, where it's barren and desolate, near Israel, right, that's where they're going.
Call it an invasion of Iran, specifically the Karg Island, which is in the northern Persian Gulf, right by the Strait of Hormuz. Donald Trump considering doing a blockade against the Strait of Hormuz, and this as all NATO allies and essentially every country that Donald Trump has reached out to, while Donald Trump has begged like a dog for help after Donald Trump went this war alone with him and Netanyahu without telling anybody that they were going to invade Iran. Now Donald Trump is out there calling NATO cowards. By the way, do you remember just a few days ago, as Carl Quintanilla writes, when Witkoff told Quintanilla on CNBC that Vladimir Putin was not sharing any intel with Iran and that we had to, quote, take him at his word? Take me at my word, everybody. They're not doing it. The issue is this regime is led by total liars. Just a reminder, here is what Witkoff said last week, right at the same time that Russia told Witkoff, we are providing Iran with intelligence. By the way, why do you think Iran has been effective in being able to shoot these American Reaper drones?
Right, and that's the point. So it's confirmed that Gog from the land of Magog will be turned back and gain many, people to himself and come against Babylon the Great. Right, and that's starting with Iran, which is Persia, right? Ezekiel 38:1, and the word of the Lord Yahweh Bashmi came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against him, and say, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh Bashmi, behold, I am against thee, O God, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, right? Going to the Turkey region, right? That area over there, Armenian and different things, right? says, I will turn thee back and put hook into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth in all thine army. This is why Russia is what it is today. How is basically a great military power, with weapon capabilities that no one else has on earth right now, right? And I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth in all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shield, all of them handling swords. Persia, which is Iran, right? The Persians, Ethiopia and Libya, right? Ham, African nations. It says with them, all of them with shield and helmet, Gomer, which goes into Turkey, that area over there, Armenia and things like that. It says in all his bands, the house of Togomar of the north quarters and all his bands, and many people with thee. Right, so what Russia is going to be Persia. So it was no shock to us that Russia was helping Iran, right? And that truth has came out. All right, and I got an article right here. It says Russia offered to end Iran intelligence sharing if U.S. halted Ukraine support 5 hours ago. This from the Moscow Times. Right, so they reposted it. And I checked this right here, and I didn't see anything about them saying it is not true. So Russia offered to stop its intelligence sharing with Iran in exchange for the United States suspending intelligence support to Ukraine, but Washington rejected the offer. Right? Politico reported Friday, citing people familiar with the matter. The quid pro quo, which is something for something. I got it right here. That's what that means. Something for something. This for that. Okay. It says this quid pro quo proposal was delivered last week in Miami by Kremlin envoy Kirill Dmitry to U.S. President Donald Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, according to the report. Politico said the proposal will likely deepen suspicion in Europe. That's key. That the Witkoff Dmitry meetings are not aimed at advancing a Ukraine peace settlement, but rather at exploring bilateral agreements that could sideline European partners. Right. So Europe is like, yo, America is not treating us as a true partner. Basically, they keep getting signs to see that, they basically that they should no longer deal with America. Right. So that goes into the 10 horns hitting the horn. Right. They probably pissed off at America. I'd have been pissed too. You're trying to get something done. You got a business going on, and your partner, your so-called partner, keep doing stuff that is not beneficial to you. It's fucking you up. You end up paying more money for things you didn't have to pay for. It's bad. So a source familiar with the discussions told Politico that Russia put forward additional Iran-related proposal that Washington has also rejected, including the idea of transferring enriched uranium from Iran to Russia. Because this ain't about that, right? They're set a new world order, and the Amalekites are at the head of this, right? This ain't about that's Ukraine. But the situation in Iran, even Iran, they don't care about that because the Amalekites, the small hatters, 1948ers, right? Benjamin Netanyahu, right? They're behind this war. He said himself so many times, right? He said that the 7 wars, Venezuela became part of that. The Iron Cuban next, right? They finished Syria, Iraq and all that. Now they're in Iran, right? He already said it. They caused their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All right, let me grab that. This Psalm 64. Psalm 64 and 8. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. That's exactly what they're doing. Everything that these devils are about to do, we already knew, and we already been knew because of the scriptures, right? But they kind of outline different things for us to know. All right, that's why America is not agreeing with these different proposals and things like that. Right, Jeremiah 50 and 45. Therefore, hear ye the counsel of the Lord Yahweh Bashmi that you have taken against Babylon, which is America, and his purposes that he have proposed against the land of Chaldeans, America. Surely the least of the flock, 1948ers, Israel. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. So Israel and America are going to be destroyed by, Russia. And many people join with Russia, right? This is, get it from right here. Jeremiah 51:7, it says, Babylon have been the golden cup in the Lord's hand and made all the earth drunken. The nation have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her, take balm for her pain, if so be she may be healed. We will have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go everyone into his own country. For her judgment reacheth unto heaven and is lifted up even to the sky. Right? And we, the hopeful elect, the Israelites, we have to seek the Lord, Yahweh Bashmi Shai, by getting back to this word. All right. So the Lord Yahweh Bashmi Shai have brought forth our righteousness. Come and let us declare in Zion the work of the Lord Yahweh Bashmi Shai, our power. Make bright the arrows, gather the shields. The Lord have raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes. Right? The Medes are the Russians. All right. For his device is against Babylon to destroy it. So the Most High is raising up Magog, right? Gog, which is Russia, because he wants to destroy Babylon, right? So that's why he gave Russia those, weapon capabilities. Jeremiah 54, Isaiah 54. Isaiah 54:16, behold, I have created the smith that blows the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work. And I have created the waster to destroy. Right? So the Most High Yahweh Bashmi Shai allowed these devils to create these weapons, these nuclear weapons, because this is what he was going to use to destroy America and Israel in these last days. Right? So these weapons will be shot. That's why it says make bright the arrows. These arrows are the missiles. Make bright the arrows, gather the shields. The Lord Yahweh Bashmi Shai raise up the spirit of the kings of the Medes, for his device is against Babylon to destroy it, because it is the vengeance of the Lord Yahweh Bashmi Shai, the vengeance of his temple. Right? The Israelites, his people, our substance and things like that. These devils took us and did numerous atrocities to us, right? Horrible, horrible, horrible things they have done for us, to us, that they're going to pay for in the near future when they get into captivity, when our Lord returns. It says, set up the standard upon the walls of Babylon, make the watch strong, set up the watchmen, prepare the ambushes, for the Lord Yahweh Bashmi Shai both devised and done that which he spake against the inhabitants of Babylon. And as you can see, everything is unfolding now, right? People, so a lot of people don't believe, but they will, because it's going to happen, right? Every day we get closer to America's destruction, right?
And able to shoot these assets and these energy facilities. They're being helped by Russia. They're probably being helped by China as well. Here's what Witkoff says. Play this clip.
I can tell you that yesterday on the call with the president, the Russians said that they have not been sharing. That's what they said. So, we can take them at their word, but they did say that.
Now, here's what Senator Joni Ernst had to say this morning about the possibility of a ground invasion of American troops in Iran. Play this clip.
Senator, the Wall Street Journal reports that the Pentagon is sending 3 warships and thousands of additional Marines to the Middle East. Now, the president says he doesn't want boots on the ground in Iran. So what are these Marines doing there?
Well, they provide a lot of leverage, Stuart, and I just love the president when he keeps the reporters on their toes. We shouldn't be telling people what we are going to do and when we are going to do it. But believe me, President Donald J. Trump has the best interests of the United States at heart, but he also loves our men and women in uniform.
He don't care. Donald Trump does not give a fuck about none of you. Scriptures say he that is not good to himself, whom shall he be good to? All right. And all he eat is McDonald's and Coca-Cola. All right. He's a very sickly individual. Right. He's sending y'all to war, and on top of that, he's being blackmailed, right, by the small hatters. So he's gonna do whatever they tell him to do. Right. Even if that involves having you individuals killed. Remember 9/11, remember JFK, remember CK. Right, remember Australia, remember October 6th, right, remember Iran oil pipelines. I think I said 9/11. Remember USS Liberty. Remember it, because it's all done by the small hats. All right, they do not care. All right, Lord willing, edified from the lesson Shalom to the hopeful elect, which consists of men, women, and children. Shalom.